Hello everybody, SoulGator2 here, and welcome to my first ever Hytale video. Now today, we're gonna go through a few things. Basically, I wanted to talk about magic and other stuff about why I'm excited about Hytale, because, you know, Hytale's a pretty big game by now. Like, many people have heard about it. And, yeah, I'm super excited, so let's just jump into it. So, as you can see from this is like basically wind, fire, water, lightning, earth, all of that stuff. And there's also void, but there's also like marks and rune symbols, which I find really cool. Now, what made me want to talk about magic so much was I recently thought about like all of the stuff that's been happening with Hytale, like their new studio they have now, which this sign honestly looks really cool. And they also have a Quebec statue that has been made, which honestly I love. It's like really cool. Well, everything's cool with Hytale, I mean, come on. But anyways, so what I want to actually look at is what magic can be used for stuff, because there are a lot of realms or altarverses, and of course you have your like 6 elements on Orbis, but what about the 4 other planets? Because you have Numdrazzle, Nexus, Torbalin, and Karpak, and I feel like all of these worlds could have their own different magics, or it's like magic but it's like centered around one type of it, because it could just be because Karpak looks a lot like Jupiter. It has storms, it looks like, and it just looks really cool. Torbalin looks a lot like Mars. Nexus looks like just a bigger Mercury, and Numdrazzle just looks like Numdrazzle basically. I don't know what planet to compare that one to, but Orbis obviously can be compared to like Earth. But the thing is how are we going to travel between these worlds? Now, one thing I think is once we get through Orbis, we're not going to travel through like into a rocket blasting off, but it looks like all of these worlds are connected by some sort of magical energy. So it would be really cool to see like how this would turn out. And also I wanted to talk about magic with weapons. Now, magic with weapons is like super big, because if you can like fuse magic with weapons, or like magic that's engraved in weapons, because it looks like those magic symbols have something to do with the blade being on fire. So I'd really like something in the story to like explain that. There's also enemies using magic, of course, necromancy, dark magic, voodoo, all that types of stuff, but I'm not going to get into that today. There's 6 zones right now confirmed to be in the Hytale universe. There's Zone 1, which is basically just a normal grassy plains. Zone 2, which is the desert. Zone 3, which is a snowy tundra and ocean biome. Then there's the Zone 4, which reminds me a lot of Ark Survival Evolved. If you've ever played that game, it's really good. I do recommend playing it. But basically it reminds me of one of the DLCs, Aberration, where like the top is just scorched in sunlight from a meteor, and then below the surface there's like huge wildlife with dinosaurs, and they like remind me a lot of that. The mineshaft dungeon thingies. This looks to be what I'm thinking, like a magic dungeon, because you see a lot of fire, but that green stuff looks a lot like one of the ores in the game. I forgot the name. I think it's like thurium, or I don't know, something like that. But there's also that up there, which looks like a boss to get to the chest which might have some rare loot in. And this episode is going to be pretty short because after all, this is my first Hytale video. So the last thing we're going to talk about is bosses and boss magic and boss abilities, because I do really like the bosses in Hytale. Now, I do want to do a separate video on the bosses, so I'm only going to show the Void Spider today. Now, I have severe arachnophobia, so just looking at this and gonna be playing in the game and fighting this, I really don't like that, because it looks like that it'll have a ton of spider minions as well. Not to mention, it looks like there's different kinds of them, because in the actual concept art, it looks like the spider has fuzzy legs, while down here when you see like the character fighting the actual spider, it looks like it has ored legs, or like encased in like rare ore. So maybe there's like more difficult void spiders later on in the game. And what I think void spiders and the void monsters are gonna be is they're gonna be like something that you need to fight to obtain like magic power or MP. Because if you see in the like spider's head, it looks pretty green, and this does look like Zone 1. And there are spider caves in Zone 1 as well, so I believe that the Void Spider is definitely in Zone 1. But not only that, this orange tree looks kind of ominous, and the Void Spider might want to defeat it, so maybe these different types of Void Spiders will be like final boss fights against these like tree things, and you have to go around and like help all of the trees to make sure the void doesn't basically wipe out the entire Orbis, which I find really cool. And I'm super excited to play Hytale, but the one thing I don't like is spiders. I knew they were gonna add spiders though, because spiders is just like an essential in a game like this, to be honest. I mean, but yeah. I'm gonna end this today. Hope you enjoyed watching this, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye.